Hello world, did you know there is a difference between being African and being black? Well, if you didn't, you're about to find out. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel dedicated to transforming our African mindsets. Without wasting time, let's get started. The objective fact is that there are black people who are not Africans and there are Africans who are not black. You can Google it. You will find they are natives of countries such as Papua New Guinea, Australia, and many others who consider themselves black, but they have never been connected to Africa. On the other hand, if you go to the continent of Africa, they are natives, especially those outside the tropics, who have never and don't consider themselves black. A good example are the Amazigh people of North Africa. So the issue is not about the objective definitions of blackness or Africanness. Rather, the confusion or the issue comes about due to the different socially constructed definitions of blackness. To bring this home, I was recently watching TV and this female singer, whom I didn't know at the time, but I googled and found out she's called Leona Lewis. She was talking and all of a sudden she said, me and my father were the only black people. And I had thought she was white because of the way she looked. But straight away, I recalled my American history and realized, according to the American history, if you had one drop of blackness or Africanness, society considered you black. So she's black even if she might not look black. But that's not the only definition of blackness. If you go to other societies, for example, Brazil, being black is not defined the same way as the American blackness. In Brazil, there are families where some children could be black and others white. It all depends on how you look. And if you go to Africa, the definition is also different. Black is black in Africa. And if you're in doubt, all you have to do is go to a mirror. If you look black, you're black. If you look brown, you're brown, and society considers you brown. In fact, if you are a child of a white father and a black mother, society considers you half black, half white, or they consider you mixed. Out of Africa, things are different mainly because of the legacy of the Atlantic slave trade. During the 400 years of Atlantic slave trade, millions of Africans were taken to the New World, South and North America and the Caribbeans, and over time they lost their African identity, culture, language, and ethnicities. What resulted was a new group of people who had a different identity, and their new societies largely identified them by the color of their skin or their race. So, how do we avoid the confusions that could come about due to differences in how one understands who is black and who is African? I can think of two ways. The first one is, it's an objective fact that it's not very sophisticated for someone to identify you merely by the way you look, whether you're tall or you're dark or you're however. It's not sophisticated. That is why whenever people are largely fundamentally identified by the way they look, it has led to social conflicts because their deep humanity is deprived. Or for the affected people, it can induce self-defeating mindsets. Second, Africans are the most diverse of all people in the world. You can Google it, do any research. We are so diverse in regard to height. We have the tallest people and the shortest people. In regard to languages, we have more than 2,000 languages, the most of any continent. In regard to religions and a whole slew of diversity metrics. In regard to how we look color-wise, even if the fact is that most Africans are indeed different shades of brown, we range from being as dark as charcoal, like the Nile Saharan peoples, to being very light-skinned like the northern and southern African peoples. So in summary, I would say the authentic African identity cannot be trivialized to merely how we look, whether the shape of our nose or the skin of our color. And even if some non-Africans, through their racist policies, defined us like that, we cannot appreciate that. We should define ourselves. Being African is more than the way we look. That is where our humanity lies. The topic of Africanness versus blackness may not be of much value to you as an African in Africa. However, when you travel outside, especially to the Americas, not knowing the difference could be a cause of confusion or, at worst, a cause of an identity crisis. Let's remember, even if there are societies out there that want to reduce our humanity to how we look, we are more than that. Whether you're light-skinned or dark-skinned, what matters is that you're from Africa. You are African and I am African. Thank you. Talk to you next Saturday.